right. It's five after. Shall we begin? Um,
Yeah,
all right, cool. So I'll give a quick introduction. Thank you everybody for attending. This is the Seattle OWASP chapter monthly meeting, and this month, we have the pleasure of having Haley Kelly give a talk about how some of the things they've done in their cybersecurity journey. I've had the pleasure of meeting Haley in real life at a OWASP networking event. She is a very dedicated member of our community and a delightful human being to be around and to know. And when we were at the networking event, a lot of people were asking her about how she's done what she's done. And so we've invited her to give her talk on her journey so far. So over to you, Haley.
awesome. Thank you so much, Claire. I really appreciate you. It was really cool to meet you, and I still can't imagine that you're as tall as you are when I met you in person. But anyway, hopefully that's okay that I said that. About me, I am a Seattle transplant. I moved to Seattle in 2014 when the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. So congratulations, Seattle. You're welcome. I helped you. Um, I'm a seasoned professional. I've spent 10 plus years in marketing and advertising. I would work 60 plus hour weeks and just was very stressed out, but it was a fun time. Met a lot of good people. I've served in the military for 10 years, and once I got finished, I decided to take a mental break. And luckily, my wife afforded me the opportunity to do so. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I played a lot of video games and watched a lot of true crime. So in watching one of my digital forensic episode, or sorry, forensic files episodes, there was an episode about digital forensics, and I thought it was really exciting because I thought it was really cool that you could catch bad guys using computers and things like that. So I decided I was tired of playing video games and decided to use my GI Bill to get a master's in cybersecurity. I was torn between digital forensics and cybersecurity, but I chose Bellevue University because they offered both. And so I got the best of both worlds. And it was a great university for veterans because they were very instrumental in helping me as a veteran and filling out all the paperwork and getting it done so I could start my master's. And it was amazing. And then after I graduated, I just started my journey on looking on what I wanted to do, and that's how I stumbled into GuidePoint Security. My journey is no different than most. I think everyone is looking for the same destination. We're all trying to find a job in cybersecurity and trying to, just have that opportunity. And so I feel like my journey is no different than most people's. So what next? After graduation, I I finished my program in March 2024, so I wasn't sure what to do. So I got an email from the VA and I started randomly looking through it. Typically, I ignore them, but on this particular day, I just happened to see that they offered American Corporate Partners offered a free Veterans Association membership program for transitioning veterans or spouses of veterans. So I was like, all right, sure, if it's really free, I'll give it a shot. And I talked to one of their representatives and she was super nice, talked to her for a good half hour. And she said, I may or may not be able to connect you with someone in the technical field, and I was like, that's okay. I don't care. Just give me anybody. So she partnered me with Mayumi, and she was this super nice lady that had a governance and compliance background. And she just kind of just made me feel better because she would look at my resume, she would talk to me, she would just keep giving me guidance. And she was actually the one that told me, she's like, have you attended any of your OWASP Seattle chapter meetings? And I'm like, no, is that a thing? And so I attended my first virtual meeting, and it's been great ever since. I'm really not that type of person that loves to, I'm not really what I would call an extrovert, but I just put myself out there because I knew if I wanted to find a job in cybersecurity, I had to, get out of my comfort zone and talk to people. And so that's what I did. I started talking to people at the first meeting, and after the meeting, I had two people send me messages on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, do you want to get a coffee or or a virtual coffee, and we can talk about what you want to do with your career?" And I was like, "That would be awesome." But again, I know as a veteran, we have a lot of opportunities that other people do not, but there's still plenty of ways for you to mentor or get mentorship. You can go on LinkedIn. I'm seeing Women in Cybersecurity or WESIS is always posting opportunities about how they want to mentor or have the ability to mentor. As like I said, as getting a master's, I had access to career counselors, which has been phenomenal. I mean, even after you graduate, they don't tell you like sayonara. Like you can still talk to people, and I still reach out to my career counselors from Bellevue University, and they've been a blessing. But also, even if you're working in a field somewhere and you are thinking of transitioning to cybersecurity, you can talk to anybody. Most companies, unless it's outsourced, have an IT department. So if you just, if you're interested, just email that person or just ask for them for 5 minutes. Most of the time, people love to talk about what they do if they enjoy their jobs. And finally, it's not only important to get a mentor, but to be a mentor. Like that is my goal when I finally get the job that I want in cybersecurity. I really want to be there for other people, and I feel like I'm constantly mentoring anyways as a part of LinkedIn. A lot of people are, um, like I said, whispering me on LinkedIn and saying, "How did you get that internship at GuidePoint?" And I'm like, I've started responding to all of the emails, but then everyone just I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna write a blog. So that's what I did. So this is kind of what I pulled from for this presentation. So again, it's good to have a LinkedIn presence. You want to try and have as many connections as you can. I try to treat it like Facebook. Like I don't mind meeting a lot of outside connections because I most of them that I've met have been through networking and stuff like that. But it is good to create a good profile on LinkedIn and have a picture and make it look pretty reputable because as we know, LinkedIn has a lot of scam accounts and a lot of scammers. So it's like it always makes me nervous when I get a person that wants to connect with me that has no picture or their job sounds weird. So, but yeah, it is a very good idea to make an online presence on LinkedIn. I love posting about GuidePoint all the time. I love posting about things that I see. I like posting about scams just to put the word out there. To me, LinkedIn is more like a an adult social networking group, but it's not, it doesn't have all the things that Facebook has, like politics and stuff like that. So it's really cool to network, and it also gets your name and your face out there for people to be able to see you. And I get that a lot too. They're like, I feel like I know you from somewhere. Another game changer for me has been the Meetup app. I always thought it was just a an app that you use to find like if you wanted to go hiking or play pickleball or something like that. But honestly, I've used it more for finding technology events and technology groups. And I think actually I found OWASP on Meetup. So, but it's been a game changer. I mean, there's so many, especially in a city like Seattle, there's so many different groups out there, and most of them are free, and they want you to come and they want you to meet up. And there's like they'll have coffee hours, they'll have game nights, they'll have trivia, and you can go. I at least have 15 events a day when I look at my app. I'm just like, and it's just like anything else. You can swipe if you're interested or swipe left if you're not. And most of the events are free. I haven't found one that I've had to pay for, and if I have, I don't want to be a member. So. Networking, networking, networking. Make those connections. It's very important. Attend webinars. When I was getting my master's, I was always having to come up with discussion post questions for things. And so it was really cool to find different webinars that I could attend. And then more and more as I started signing up for different like Tech Target or things like that for my master's, I would start getting emails about webinars, or Women in Cybersecurity is always sending out webinars, or even GuidePoint has the Brick House, which is our CISO, Gary Brickhouse, and he always has every month a couple or a few different panelists that he likes to talk about different things. Like in November, we had the Unified Cloud Defense with Access, and it was about app security, and it was really cool. So I just love learning, and I think it's important to constantly um, learn different things. I'm always taking notes when I do it, even if I never read them again. I just feel like it helps me to learn, and cybersecurity is never changing or is always changing. So you need to keep up with daily trends and what's going on. And like I said, most organizations like OWASP, Women in Cybersecurity, ISA, ISACA, Microsoft, and Google all have different webinars. There's also anti-siphon training and Black Hills Information Security. They do a lot of, I've found them on either, I think it was YouTube or it could have been LinkedIn, but they're also doing a lot of free events, and it's more of they know a lot of people don't have a lot of resources or have money to pay for cybersecurity classes, so they offer a pay-as-you-go service. And so, if they want people to learn, and they have a Discord channel, and it's so cool because even though you can download all the stuff to do the event with them, I find it for me, I just enjoy watching them do their thing and learn that way. And so because I downloaded a lot of programs for my during my master's, and my poor computer just can't take anymore. But yeah, they're really friendly, and they're constantly offering classes, and they're just really good people, and you can tell that they care and want people to learn. And also, like I said, keep learning. I'm constantly going on Try Hack Me, and they have a lot of learning paths, but they also have CTFs, or Capture the Flags, which you can do different games. I met a really cool guy, and or I heard about KC7 going to a webinar. So it's Q query language, and they have like these different games that you can try using the query language, and it kind of helps you become better at doing queries. So that's a lot of fun. And then Sam's also has like cyber challenges and really cool stuff like that that you can do for free. And they also offer really cool classes. But unfortunately, they're not free. So, so yes, webinars are definitely a game changer in learning, and I love them. I'm always hearing about them on LinkedIn for sure. Attend local chapter events. Again, if I hadn't attended the OWASP virtual lunch, then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet so many different cool people. And ISA events, I started attending those, and it was really cool because as you slowly start going to some of these events, you realize that you keep seeing the same people over and over, and they're involved, and they welcome you, and it's just really cool. Like I've seen the same people at Cybersecurity events, WESIS events, ISA events, OWASP events. It's great. So definitely, and again, the speakers are there. They're coming on their own time, usually for free. So I love to come support and hear what they have to say. And again, it's another good way to network. And at least when I attend these events, my goal is to at least make one or two new connections so I don't feel like it was a failure, so that's my goal usually. So I will usually typically go up to the person that's sitting by themselves or is looking as lost as I am, and I'm like, "Hello, would you like to connect?" So usually I've had some really good conversations that way. Um, but yeah, so attend local chapter events, and again, Meetup is the perfect place to find them. So. And then, of course, go to conferences. I was lucky enough, my army buddy lives in Vegas. So I texted him and I was like, "Hey, can I stay with you?" And yeah, so he was awesome. He let me stay with him for like, I think I ended up staying with him for 3 weeks. But I went to DEF CON, Black Hat, B-Sides, and Diane Initiative all in 1 week, and I was exhausted. But again, as a veteran, I have been pretty lucky. They usually will let veterans attend for free. Or if not, sometimes they offer a scholarship. But if it's too expensive, volunteer. I met some really cool volunteers that told me that they love to do it because not only do they get to attend the event, and yes, that was my big question too. Like, do they have time as volunteers to attend the events? Yes, typically they do. If they're a big enough event, usually they do it in waves. So, and sometimes they even, if you keep volunteering and you keep coming back, I've heard from them that sometimes they can get their hotel rooms comped or food comped. So it's a really good experience. And volunteers are really hard to find. And if you show up on time and you do the work, and even if, you know, what I've learned in cybersecurity is like you can teach anyone how to do cybersecurity, but you can't teach them to be on time. You can't teach them to show up and do the work. So volunteering is a good way to show that you're a reliable person, and I feel like people see that when you do that. But also don't forget the smaller conferences. I was lucky enough to attend the OWASP Pacific Northwest Conference in Vancouver. Luckily, this year I think it's going to be in Seattle, so I'm excited that I don't have to drive as far. But it was a really good time. I enjoyed it, and of course the happy hour afterward was amazing. I met this really cool guy that does AppSec in Australia, and we still keep in touch. I saw him at where did I see him? I think I saw him at B-Sides or somewhere. But anyway, and we sat down and had lunch, and he's a really cool guy, and I love him. And then of course, local conferences are important as well. There's we recently had Secure World, which is really cool, and I got to go to that. And what I typically do sometimes when going to local conferences is I like to write if I'm attending a speaker and it's something that I'm really interested in, I like to write about what they talked about and the points they gave, and then I'll do a little write-up and a blurb on LinkedIn and post it just to like tell people about my experiences and then try to include them. And that's another way to kind of get your name out there. And I like to write, so I like to show them that, this is this your talk meant a lot to me. And I think sometimes it really helps. Like I had somebody say, "Oh, I didn't even, that's so nice. Thank you for saying that." So it's another way to, get your name and face out there to people. I didn't get to attend Blue Hat this year. Unfortunately, I was more excited about, well, not more excited, but I had the opportunity to go to GPSec, which is GuidePoint Security in DFW. So, and it was at the same time of Blue Hat. So I was just like, I was so torn. But Blue Hat looked like it was a great experience. But I had a blast at GPSec DFW, and I got to meet so a couple of my intern buddies in person, and we had so much fun hanging out. So again, uh, another way to get to know people and have fun. And again, Meetup app. I know I keep stressing it. They're not really giving me any money, I promise. But they do. They have a lot of information about conferences as well. Vendors. Very important not to forget your vendors. Um, I was lucky enough when I went to it looked like I think Seattle had an API summit and Wall Arm was there, and I started talking to a vendor and I told him, I was like, oh man, I really want to go to Black Hat this year, but I applied for one of their veteran scholarships and they rejected me. And he's like, oh, I can get you in. I can get you in with a code. Worst case, I can give you access to just vendor access to go and get a bunch of swag. So I was like, sweet. So that's how I got to go to Black Hat. And then of course, when I learned about an event with women in cybersecurity at Topgolf, that's where GuidePoint was. And when I first got there, I totally ignored GuidePoint because I was like, I'm here to meet connections. I don't know what's the point of a vendor. And then somebody whispered to me, they're like, they hire veterans. And I was like, huh? Oh, hello, GuidePoint, please, hire me. No, but I was like, I started talking to them, and then I realized that the importance of going to these types of events is not just the networking. I mean, that is important, but also it's important to get to know your vendors. They have really good products, and GuidePoint partners with a lot of great vendors. And when we went to GPSec, we were talking to them, and you just want to make those connections, make those conversations. You never know. It could be a vendor that you're talking to that might, think that you're the perfect fit for something a new job they might have available. So get to know your vendors. Don't discount them. Don't ignore them, because I almost shot myself in the foot. If it hadn't been for, talking to Brian and Torin, I wouldn't have probably gotten the connection with Taylor, who was the recruiter, and they just basically told me to connect with her. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do the fellowship or the skill bridge from the military, but I was able to still apply for the internship because unfortunately, you have to be transitioning out of the military and you have 180 days once you are out. So, but I missed that opportunity, but I still got to do an internship. And so, yeah, so make sure you appreciate the vendors and talk to them and ask them about their products because you never know, you might be working for one of them one day. Again, stay up to date on cybersecurity. I got a lot of my information during my master's from Darknet Diaries. I feel like Jack, the host, was really good, but over the time of listening to him, he seemed to get a little bit paranoid and he started redacting all his information, and it was really I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy. But yeah, I love his stories, and he has so many great stories with different hackers and different pen testers and different it's a really if you want to learn about cybersecurity, I highly recommend it. I've listened to every episode and it's amazing. Hacking Humans is also another good one if you're interested in social engineering. I've learned a lot from them about different scams that happen, and they're really fun to listen to. And also, if you want to get a daily news fix on cybersecurity, you can listen to CyberWire, which is a separate podcast, but it basically just gives you like the headlines of what's going on in cybersecurity and data breaches. I'm an Anglophile, so I love English accents. So Smashing Security piqued my interest because Graham Cluley, the host, has an English accent, and they used to have a lot of guests that were either from the UK or from Canada, but it was sometimes from America as well. So it would be fun to hear their witty banter against UK versus America. And then Graham also does the AI fix, which is a thing. AI is not going anywhere anytime soon. There's also, like I said, if you sign up to a lot of these companies, you will get emails about different events and webinars and things. But also TLDR is another one that has a lot of great newsletters you can subscribe to. I accidentally subscribe to all of them, so I get like 50 emails a day. So maybe pick your poison if you're more interested in AI or AppSec or anything like that, then maybe not go crazy like me because I'm regretting it. Social media is another good place. Like I said, LinkedIn has a lot of information about cyber events, and it was really funny when, I mean, it wasn't really funny, but when the CrowdStrike thing happened, John Hammond was one of the ones that was talking about it, and so I loved hearing his take. I also like cybersecurity girl from Instagram. She always has a lot of good information on scams that I've never heard of, and so I'm always learning a lot from her. So I like to share stuff to my friends on Instagram. And then finally, because I was getting my master's for 2 years, my Google algorithm is constantly giving me the any kind of cybersecurity stories or any data breaches that are occurring. So yes, but it's important to stay up to date on cybersecurity because you know it will help if you on interviews you'll have something to talk about, or you know, it's helps make great conversation when you're making those connections to not only, you know, walk the walk, but talk the talk. And finally, the biggest hurdle in trying to find a job in cybersecurity is you. It's typically it's kind of like the lottery. If you don't play, you can't win. So if you don't apply, you won't get a job. And I know it's the hardest thing. I tell it to myself all the time because it's really frustrating to like get the constant rejection. But I feel like the right opportunity is out there for me. And if you just keep doing things like I'm telling you to do, making connections, making those, talking to people, and just putting yourself out there, um, then you're definitely going to be a success. But like I said, the biggest hurdle is you. If you're afraid to get out there and you're afraid to talk to people and you're afraid to go to events, I mean, I'm the same way. I'm with you. I'm right there with you. So um, yeah. So thank you, and let's connect. And finally, this picture here is our CEO, Michael Volk. He was really cool. Leah, my intern buddy, and I, and Angel, we ended up talking to him after GPSec at DFW. So he just walked up to us and he was like, hey, are you part of the GPSU crew? And we're like, yes, we are. And he was just really nice. Like we were really, I mean, we shouldn't have been surprised, but it was just really nice of him to just approach us and start talking to us because we were kind of like feeling a little bit awkward. So, and that's what I've learned from GuidePoint Security. Like, I love when I talk to anybody I meet with GuidePoint, I always like to ask them their origin story, and it's really cool because it's always like I worked with this person who worked with this person, or I knew this person, or I'm related to this person, or I'm friends with this person. So it's like it really is cybersecurity really is a small community. It's crazy. Like actually I was talking to one of my buddies in advocacy and he ended up knowing somebody that my wife works with because he went to school with them. But he mentioned the name and typically when you say a name you're like, oh, I probably won't know that person, but I did and it was crazy. So yeah. So yeah, thank you. Anyway, hooray. I'll leave this up in case anybody wants to uh, link up. So other than that, any questions? I guess let me turn